Hey YouTube, how you doing? That was weird, right? I never say that. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a little bit of a. Is this pastry stout? I guess it is. I mean, it is. Courtesy of my boy Mike from New Jersey. This is Braxton Labs. This is their salted caramel chocolate truffle. Yeah, check that sucker out. This be a stout with caramel, cacao nibs, sea salt, and lactose. Part of their dessert series. Duh. So we know it's a dessert stout, pastry stout. 9%, so not hitting double digits. One of the reasons why I picked it. Story time. Oh, wait. Never mind. This is story time about the brewery, not about the beer, so we're going to skip it. And yeah, this comes courtesy of my boy Mike from Jersey. He put together a Tabor, not with a B, with a V, box on his own dime and sent it off to me. And I'm not going to lie to you. At first, I was like, I think that's a little weird. Not weird, like really weird, but I was like, I'd never had anybody do that for me before because it's always been people like, cracking, one beer off a 4-pack or something along those lines and sending it off. I'm a believer now because I've never purchased Tavor before. That process to me is a little bit weird, in that you kind of, from what I understand, is what you do is they put beers up, and then if you want some, you pick some and you put it in your virtual box, and they put it off to the side, and then eventually you say, okay, ship me the box, depending on at what point you filled the box with a certain amount of beer. I think that's how it works. I'm actually going to do a review of the process. Tavor's going to send me a box, so I'll do that, so keep an eye out for that. But the amount of eclectic, or I don't want to say eclectic, unique beers I haven't had from various parts of the country, it kind of piqued my interest, so yeah. Anyway, that head is gigantic. As you can tell, I'm trying to talk my way out of that horrible pour. And it's got pretty uniform, tight, compact bubbles that has now crumbled on top of itself with this crazy, I can see almost an inch into the beer, kind of crazy, bubbling kind of craziness. And yeah, it looks like dessert. What do you want me to say? I mean, like I said, beer-wise, it's definitely pastry stout. I actually really like this label. Reminds me of a brewery. I can't remember who. Who's the brewery? These guys are from Kentucky. Is it Nut Smasher? Is the name of the beer from Ohio? They do something similar to this. It actually reminds me of that label in some weird way. I think it's orange. Well, this is orange too, but it was orange on black maybe or something like that. Anyway, reminds me of that one. Ohio peeps, help me out. And beer-wise, once you give it a swirl, looks all the part. It's good nose. I mean, it really is on the nose, literally. Because I'm getting caramel, I'm getting lactose, I'm getting vanilla, a little bit of marshmallow vibes, a little bit of chocolate. Not too hefty on the chocolate, but I have a hard time between vanilla and chocolate, so it could be bigger for some people. It really does smell the part of that salted caramel kind of chocolate truffle-y, pretzel-y kind of thing going on when you add those kind of grains to it. Smells nice. I don't know if it's going to be overly sweet or not yet, but the way the beer comes off in the nose, it's going to lean probably a bit heavy into the lactose vanilla kind of range, but we'll see. I would like a caramel thing going on here, but it's hard to have a big caramel pop without a big sweetness, so maybe I'm asking too much. Let's just dive in. Cheers. Well, that's sweet. It's sweet and bitter. And I don't know if I like it or not. It starts off sweet. You get popped with this bitterness that's so foreign to something like this. And I'll tell you what. This might be, because you guys hear me bitch about this. I don't know why I bitch about it as much as I do. Because I think there's a little bit of nefariousness going on when it comes to the hop percentage versus carbonic acid. I think this is my first kind of pastry stout that's too carbonic acid forward, because I think that's a bulk of where the bitterness is coming from. But That being said, everything about this beer is in there. They talk about caramel, check. Cacao nibs, check. Sea salt, check. I get a big salinity on this, and then the lactose is kind of coming off as like a big vanilla kind of a component for me. So I think that cacao nib and lactose is making me get big vanilla vibes on this. Like I said, my palate's kind of wired that way to kind of think about chocolate as vanilla. It's aggressive, especially from that carbonic bittering side of things. I've never experienced that level of carbonic acid in a dark malty beer like this before. It's kind of unique. I don't know if I hate it. Let's put it that way. It adds a bittering component that is sorely needed for how sweet this beer is. But not the only, but the biggest issue I have with it is that this beer comes off disconnected for me. And by that I mean, it tastes like it's that big bittering thing on one side, the salinity in the middle, and then the big sweetness confectionery thing on the other side. They're not cohesive. They're not just like one singular flavor with all those components involved. They're very much singular. The beer's not old. A month and a half, a little over a month and a half. For a beer like this, that should be fine. And it lacks the mouthfeel I want. I mean, 9%, you're not talking about a big beer here, but 9% I expect a really decent mouthfeel. I don't hate this beer. And while it is impactful and relatively electric to where it's giving me a very fancy show, it falls short of what it's trying to do, at least for me. It's like, to give it a sports analogy, it's like if you ever watch football or soccer, or even basketball to a certain extent. It's like when that player goes one-on-one with somebody else and they do a bunch of fancy jukes and moves and spins and the defender just stands there waiting and then just blows them up. That's kind of where this beer comes in. It's giving me a lot of like, oh, since here, let's juke you over there and do that thing. And then, oh, I'm fucked. I just got destroyed. You know what I mean? It's like that thing's going on in this beer, and it has all the components to be something sexy. It has all the components to be something fun and electric. It just lacks something to bring it all together. So yeah, I don't hate it. But it just is what it is. I got this like little schmegma spot on my shirt I just noticed while I'm filming, and it's irritating me. Anyway, I hate that. So yeah, I'm getting everything listed on the label, just presenting itself in a weird way, in a very seltzery way. When I talk about carbonic acid, some people are like, what are you talking about? Just drink seltzer water, unflavored, just base seltzer water. What you're tasting is carbonic acid. And while I hate seltzer water, so I'm very sensitive to it. So for some people, it might not be an issue for you. Even though it's not a huge issue for me here, I don't see how, let's put it this way. Sometimes that carbonic thing ruins IPAs, which is 99% of the beers I've ever had. It's where it's elevated to the point where it kind of distracts. There's a lot of those where if I wasn't sensitive to it, I'd be cool with the beer. You know, it wouldn't, it's almost acts like a limiter for me, to where it blocks me tasting everything else because of how aggressive it is. It comes off in my palate. If you reduce that in here, I don't think this beer becomes better for me or anybody else. So I can see people liking this because it gives you that salted caramel thing in a very kind of purposeful way. It just lacks a little bit of cohesiveness for me to kind of go gaga over the beer. That's my 2 cents. I can't believe I just said that. My 2 cents. Of course it's my 2 cents. Anyway, fun beer nonetheless. Thank you very much, Mike, for sending this off. Very cool. Love the experience. Would try this again. If I ever roll in this brewery, I'm drinking it off the draft. I want to see what it tastes like. Is this one of the better adjunct stouts I've had as of late? No. Value and availability, no idea. Mike, let me know what you paid for this. People who, because he sent it he put a box together via Tavor, sent it to me. Let me know what you paid Tavor price for this. And then let me know, anybody else out there in the universe who bought it off a shelf, let me know what you paid, or a 4-pack or per can or something like that, because I want to do some math on these things. Let's see what the price difference is. And if you've had this beer, please let me know down below too. Let's share some thoughts and leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like if you like pastry stouts, you're not afraid of a little bit of bitterness involved in there, and you like salinity, I think maybe the salt portion of the show is maybe the disconnect on top of that carbonic acid for me. It's not over the top, like I feel like my blood pressure is soaring, but it's definitely there. An interesting beer. Interesting pastry level beer, because this is definitely different than what I typically get from pastry beers. So it's fun. So there you go. Review in the books. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massif. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of Braxton Labs right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.